Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, most of you have heard that yesterday that oil dropped into negative pricing, $37 to the negative. Yes, this is what it sounds like. This is precisely what it sounds like. Some oil traders were literally stuck with so much oil purchased on their hands and a shortage of oil storage that they were actually paying buyers to take oil off their hands. So yes, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's also exactly what it sounds like otherwise. This is the crash of the petrodollar system. That, if you listen to U.S. corporate media, they're talking about, they're blaming Russia and China and whoever for this, and and Saudi Arabia. It's a funny thing that they're doing this when, say 3 years ago, Saudi Arabia was the leading oil producer globally. 4 years ago, the leading oil producer globally was Russia for 1 year. And prior to that, it was Saudi Arabia for decades, So, but for the last 2 years, and you've heard Trump bragging about this, for the last 2 years, the leading oil producer globally, leading up to this crash, has been the United States. So, the overproduction of oil is Russia's and Saudi Arabia's fault. Just last week, Russia and Saudi Arabia came to an agreement to reduce production. The Texas Railroad Commission has tried negotiating a reduction in oil production among oil producers in Texas of 20%, and the oil producers have been fighting against it. But yeah, let's blame Saudi Arabia and Russia. So, no, it just doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Yeah, the largest oil producer fighting to not reduce production doesn't get to blame number 2 and number 3 for the overproduction of oil. Yes, Saudi Arabia increased their production of oil in March, but they're still not matching the output of the United States. And no, Russia and Saudi Arabia, no matter what the propaganda being passed around is, no, they're not fighting against each other. Yes, they are trying, at least Saudi Arabia is absolutely looking to take us down, and it's working. Now, how does this come into the petrodollar? Well, the whole value of the dollar in international trading is determined by the price of oil. If oil goes in the negative, the value of the dollar goes to the negative. So, as long as it continues to remain low, which it is low today, WTI, West Texas Intermediate crude, the last time I looked this morning was still below zero. Okay? So You know, I'm not happy about the collapse of the dollar, but I am, you know, this plays into what I had said about my fantasy, and it makes it more and more plausible. It really does. It makes it more plausible. I don't know why my face is changing colors. I have no idea. It's something to do with the camera. Yes, I need to move into a different room for this. Anyway, the petrodollar is going to collapse. It's not just this. You know, it's not just oil. Neiman Marcus just declared bankruptcy last week. There are a number of other companies, corporations, that will, retail chains, that will be declaring bankruptcy when restrictions are lifted. A lot of experts, a lot of bankruptcy lawyers have already said this. The reason they have not declared bankruptcy yet is that part of the bankruptcy procedure is that they have to be able to sell off their assets. So if they are considered non-essential retailers, well, they can't, their doors are closed. They can't sell off any of their assets right now. They have to sell off their inventory, which is going to be at a significant discount for a lot of inventory because it's outdated by now. It's been sitting and collecting dust. You know, fashions, you know, clothing is out of season. Electronics, the next generation may already be coming out. So these things are already outdated. So, you know, they have to sell off fixtures and hardware. A lot of corporations have not been paying their rent in April because they used up their liquidity buying up their own stock. And now their stock crashed. And by the way, the stock market yesterday dropped almost 600 points. Today I looked at it, and it looks like it's down over another 500 points. Day is not over yet. We don't know where it's going to go just yet. What does all this mean to us? You know, it means that, you know, we cannot keep using money to bail out corporations. If you bail out corporations, it costs billions, trillions of dollars. And one corporation only employs a limited number of people and quite often in limited geographic areas. It is far better to disperse that money to, you know, workers, to taxpayers. Let the money trickle up. Eventually, the corporations are going to get the money. It'll be deposited into corporate banks. It will be spent at corporate stores. They will make their profit. But along the way, you support people. You create jobs. Corporations do not create jobs. Consumers create jobs. I've displayed this before with what I call the Hamburger Project. And so a short recap of that. Think about a hamburger and all the ingredients that go on your hamburger. And the bread, the meat, tomatoes, lettuce, mustard, ketchup, mayonnaise, onions, pickles. Now, Think how many jobs that one hamburger sustains or creates. You've got the farmer that grows the wheat, the mill that mills the flour, the baker that bakes the bread, the rancher that raises the cattle, the processing plant. If you buy it at a restaurant, you know, you're supporting the cook, the waitress, the manager. Then you got farmers for lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, onions. This is all in one hamburger. So as a consumer, you support all those jobs. Pick one corporation that does any of that. All right? Pick one corporation, say the mayonnaise company. How many employees does that mayonnaise company